Thank you so much for joining our webinar today, the Zen of Financial Intelligence, how to find peace amid the chaos of e-commerce. Today we'll teach you how integrated systems, automated data, and having real clarity of your key performance indicators can help you achieve financial Zen and stay ahead of your business. Again, my name is Parag Mamnani. I'm the founder and CEO of Webgility. As some of you attending who are our customers might already know, I've been with the company since the inception back in 2007. Really excited to have a lot of our customers here. And for those of you that are not familiar with Webgility, give you a quick background on myself. I started the company in 2007. I've got over 15 years of experience in the e-commerce space. Needless to say, I've kind of worked with a number of small businesses and in the e-commerce space, so it's really exciting to share some of my learnings. And joining me today is Carla Sancho. She is the Chief Marketing Officer of WeddingCollectibles.com, a retailer of wedding and bridal accessories, and I'll have her give a quick overview of herself and kind of what she's up to.
Hi everyone, I'm Carla and I run WeddingCollectibles.com. We are a 30-year-old company that has been designing and manufacturing wedding products, and we went online about 10 years ago and haven't looked back since. We're now on about 5 different platforms online, including Amazon, eBay, Etsy, including some of our own domains as well.
Excellent, excellent. And Carla has been a Webgility customer now for over 5 years, and she sort of is a great voice for some of the real challenges that small businesses face, especially in the e-commerce space, and how she's been able to accelerate her business and achieve what we refer to as financial Zen by working with our products and also in really understanding the financials of our business. So in terms of the topics we're going to cover today, we'll quickly go over the agenda, some housekeeping rules I'll talk about, some of the solutions that Webgility provides. We'll jump into what is really financial Zen and how does one get there. We'll talk about some of the KPIs or key performance indicators that can help you understand what your business is doing and how you can achieve a state of Zen. Give you a little bit of some tutorials and some signs on how you're going to be able to become a Zen master. And of course, as always, as we do in our webinars, feel free to ask questions in the chat window, and we'll be sure to address them towards the end of the presentation. So jumping right in, some housekeeping rules. Everyone is currently set on mute except myself and Carla as we're presenting, but please do submit your questions via the chat question box on your screen. And if you can't get to your questions, don't worry about it. We'll make sure we follow up right after the webinar. We've got just about 50-55 minutes in this presentation, and we'll also be emailing the webinar recording to all the registrants, so don't worry about taking screenshots and so forth. We'll make sure that you get them right after we finish up the recording. Also, if you'd like to participate in the conversation, you can join us on Twitter with the hashtag FinancialZen. So a little about Webgility. As I mentioned, the company was started in 2007. We're based out of San Francisco, California. We've also got a development center out of our offices in India. We provide a variety of solutions for multi-channel e-commerce businesses, many of you who are listening in today. And our goal is to really help you streamline your business operations and help you grow. And a key part of that is getting a good grasp of all of the systems you have and really understanding all of the different financials for your business. And in order to get a good understanding of your financials, the key is to connect your systems. So we're compatible with a little over 70 e-commerce platforms. Whether you're using QuickBooks, NetSuite, or Xero for your accounting, we connect with all of them. And over these years, we've built a pretty solid product and a customer base, and as of today, we're processing roughly over 2.5 million orders every month and saving millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of hours of our customers' time as they automate their business. In terms of our customer satisfaction rating, it's over 98%, something that we're really proud of, and it really helps to sort of set the stage for what differentiates Webgility and also what should differentiate you as a business, being able to really understand your business financials and your key performance indicators so you can find the time to invest into improving your own customer satisfaction ratings. A little bit about our product. Our product suite is broadly defined as with the name of Unify, and performs kind of four key capabilities. First and foremost is our ability to integrate into a variety of accounting systems so that you're not having to do any busy work in entering data manually into your systems. The second key capability we provide is along order management, where we help you simplify your day-to-day order management, especially as you sell on multiple channels and have to do the fulfillment for those channels. We also correspondingly provide ability to track your inventory and ensure that all of your shipping and fulfillment operations are automated. So those are broadly the four categories of services we provide, and should tell you a little bit about kind of where our expertise lies, which is partly how we're able to really dig in, understand what our customers' pain points are, and hopefully with the help of today's demonstration, we can also tell you how you can take all of those learnings and incorporate them into your business. So as we jump into the presentation, one thing just to really help us get a good understanding of the target audience and to help us really tailor the presentation for you, it would be great if you could, on your screen, you'll see a poll that comes up to answer how long have you been selling online. Whether you're a new business, you're an established business, but you're new to e-commerce perhaps, and whether you've been selling for a year or two, 3 to 5 years, or over 6 years. So the poll is open on your screen. Please go ahead and fill that out, and really will help us get a better understanding of who the audience is, and we can kind of tailor some of our presentation to that. So we'll give you about 10 more seconds if you want to go ahead and select one of those check boxes, and we can jump into the answers and then continue the presentation. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and close out the polls, and here are the results. So for the audience that we have that's joining us, looks like very few of you are new businesses. In fact, almost 50% of you have been selling for 6+ years, and 30+% have been selling for more than 3 years. So really good to know the statistics. A lot of experienced sellers in our presentation today, which is exciting. Really points to the fact that despite having been in business for this many years, you recognize as you grow that your systems are constantly changing, and there is a need to understand what the challenges are on the financials, and it's much more relevant, obviously, as you grow your business over the next few years. So for those of you that have been around for a few years, appreciate you joining us, and hopefully we'll try and abstract some really interesting areas and key performance indicators that you can use to help improve and kind of grow your business. So what is Financial Zen? Taking a sort of a step back to really address the bigger question, what do we identify and what do we consider to be Financial Zen? When we think of Financial Zen, we think of systems that are integrated. So as you consider your e-commerce business and all the different moving pieces, all the way from the different sales channels on which you're selling to the order management and fulfillment system that you're using, to the inventory management, to your dropship vendor, to your accounting software, to perhaps your business intelligence software. The key to getting to Financial Zen, as we see it, is the ability to have all of your systems integrated and talking to each other. The next piece of achieving Financial Zen is these systems are integrated, is getting to workflows as data and your employees work through different systems, ensuring that their workflow on a day-to-day basis is very efficient. And a part of that efficiency and the benefit of really getting all of those systems integrated is that all of your data is automated. And when data is automated and flowing between systems seamlessly, as a company, you can ensure that all of your employees are on the same page, and you as a business owner would also have a really good grasp of what all the different key performance indicators are for your business. And we'd like to describe sort of the KPIs in really four sort of broad categories. One is your money. Put simply, how much revenue are you making, what your expenses are, and really understanding how much you're paying employees and so forth, and getting a good grasp of your money. That KPI, as you apply, can now also bleed into sort of the next big category, which is multi-channel. And specifically with multi-channel, as most of you have been around now for a little over 2 or 3 years, you'll notice that as you expand your business into multiple channels, things start to get even more interesting. And definitely, you've got to take not only the understanding you have of a single channel, but really leverage all the different channels that you have available. The third area is your customers, understanding who they are, what are the customer types and the segments that you're getting. And the last is the catalog, really understanding what your products look like, how do you leverage them differently for the different sales channels you sell on. And for us, Financial Zen is about having all of these systems be connected and you having a good clarity of your KPIs. So pause for just a second and see if Carla can also chime in and be able to help us understand how she sort of perceives what is Financial Zen.
Yeah, this really encompasses it really well, this little tree that you've got here. The automation of the operations of your company is key to keeping track of all the information in your company. So having your shipping system communicate with your accounting and your shopping carts communicating as well, so that you're getting all of your costs and also all of your income coming into one system so you can analyze it properly. And it took us a while to get this really down pat in our company. We found Webgility and it made a huge difference, and it really was able to make us streamline how we operated to a point where now I can really feel confident that when I am able to look at my QuickBooks and extract certain reports, that all of the information I'm looking at is accurate and I can make decisions off of that information rather than guessing or just using intuition. I always like having the good hard data there for me to work with.
Exactly, exactly. And as we look at the audience we have today, a great poll question would be to sort of understand from all of you, how many of you are selling on multiple channels? So, and when we think about channels, we're referring to your website, having Amazon or eBay, and even your offline channels. So quick show of hands, if you would, go ahead and select yes if you're selling on multiple channels, and no if you're only selling on one channel. Okay, we'll give you another 5 seconds there. Alrighty, well, so the polls are out and the results show that over 70% of you are selling on multiple channels, so that's great. And for those of you that are not currently selling on multiple channels, this presentation will be equally helpful as you try to understand how you expand your business on multiple channels, especially for any brick and mortar retailers out there that have been selling for some time. It's really important to understand what the different sales channels are out there and how you can grow your business on those channels, especially by using some of the learnings that we're going to talk about and be able to optimize your business for each of those channels. So as we discussed Financial Zen, I think an important question to really address here is, why does e-commerce breed so much chaos, right? So why do we really even need to think about Zen? And I think it's really important to recognize that it's not your imagination, right? almost every seller that I've come across over these last 15 years has talked about the challenges in selling online. While it may seem very easy to get started, as you grow your business online, even though everything is digital, that in fact creates a different set of challenges because now you have so many different tools. You have so many different marketplaces and platforms in which you can sell your products. Um, the data standards for how you organize your product catalog, where you're selling, all of these data standards are constantly changing. For those 70% of you that have been selling on, say, an Amazon or eBay, you know how different it is to list your products, say, on your own store versus having to follow all the rigorous guidelines for each of these platforms such as Amazon and eBay. Um, and over these years, not only has the data standard for listing products evolved, but so have all the sales and fulfillment approaches. And a lot of companies are experimenting, and Amazon has sort of paved the way for really interesting fulfillment strategies like same day and next day and prime shipping. And now they've also kind of really increase their investments into fulfillment by Amazon, which means not only do you have the ability to ship your own product, but then you can warehouse it at Amazon and several other providers to be able to fulfill your products that way. There's also been a rise of companies that are doing drop shipping, and ultimately what that means is that now you've got just a plethora of apps and multiple systems with data floating everywhere. And lo and behold, you probably did not start your business thinking that you'd have to become an accountant, you'd have to be an analyst, you'd have to run everything about your operations and logistics. And, most owners don't start off thinking that. And as you evolve, especially for those of you that have been now in business for over 4 or 5 years, you're probably starting to see your roles change, and you're also likely recognizing the need to hire people or to put systems in place because the data is getting out of control. And Carla, I'd love to sort of get your take on it as a retailer, kind of, why was e-commerce beating chaos for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's as you were saying, the different platforms each have their own different standards with how they operate. Even within Amazon, from one category to the next category, the standards change. So you could be thinking you can jump into a new category, and lo and behold, it's a whole different set of rules that apply that you have to learn a lot of times the hard way. So it can be a challenge to get a grasp on how everything works within each platform. And then once again, you have to become an expert to some degree, or you feel forced to, like you were saying, becoming an accountant, analyzing your data that you're receiving, becoming an operations specialist, because no one's going to take care of your business as well as you do. So once again, automation is key. If you're able to set up your company in such a way to where a lot of this workflow happens in an automated form as much as possible, it will really relieve the burden on you as the business owner to handle all the other things that you need to keep your eye on, and maybe what drew you into the business in the first place, if it was for creative reasons or not. But doing
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
other stuff isn't really what draws a lot of people. It's more of the actual business or product that you're selling, at least for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, to your point, depending on just even the type of products that you're selling, changes how that chaos sort of manifests itself for your business. And so here's just a few signs that you might need help, right? As you think about your day-to-day workflow and your business, a good question to ask yourself is, do you feel like you have a pulse on your business's financial health? Do you feel like you're in control of your profit margins? And as you answer some of these questions, think about what levers you have to really grow your business. Do you feel like, the business is leading you, or are you able to lead it? And are you sitting on a pile of spreadsheets? I'm not sure if you're ever going to be done with spreadsheets, but you could certainly get rid of a bunch of the sort of really complex spreadsheets that we've all sort of grown accustomed to developing for simple things like tracking who your customers might be and what your sales are for a given day. So really think about, um, do you know where the bottlenecks of your business are? And are your customers coming back for more? So you really want to understand some of these questions, and if you can outright answer all of these questions with a yes, then you're getting closer and closer to that state of financial zen. But if you find yourself saying no to any one of these questions or more than one, then you definitely want to make some adjustments. And speaking of adjustments, these are sort of the things that you have to make in order to get to financial zen and get in control of your business. So what are some of these changes and adjustments? Well, if your systems are not integrated, whether it's your store, your shopping cart, your marketplace, or all of the different applications, you want to really think about that. If you can't afford to have any downtime as an individual, as a business owner, if you can't afford to take that long vacation, it's probably time to make some adjustments. And if you feel that you don't have any budget for marketing, or you don't have the budget to help to grow the infrastructure, your websites may be running sluggishly, or your team members are just overwhelmed with just the sheer either the order volume or the amount of data that they're overloaded with, it's probably time to make an adjustments. And if you find that you have no time or energy, the theme of our presentation is around Zen, because I feel, especially I can relate to it as a business owner myself, that when I don't feel like I have the time or the energy to really think strategically about the next steps for the business, that's the time when I'm always sort of concerned, because I want to make that time. That's the only way that I'm going to be able to effectively lead the team and work on the next steps of growth for the business. So as we talk about the next steps for the business, let us address what is the path to the must-stay. How do you integrate, streamline, and automate your business? Well, by integration, we want to make sure that all the different business systems that you have are working together. So whether it's your accounting, your store, your inventory, your shipping and fulfillment, your CRM or your email marketing, they all must be working together. Well, why should they be working together? Let's take just a simple use case. Let's say you're selling on 3 different sales channels, and you've got different customers on all those different sales channels. Do you have a central system where you're able to track all of the customers for your entire business? How do you send out even a simple promotional email offer to all of your customers? And let's say you do have all of your emails, your customers organized. Do you know which ones came from the different marketplaces or stores so that you can tailor that message to them? Let's say you have a really great campaign idea in mind, and you want to look at whether your inventory is going to be available to run that campaign. So again, as you think about strategies for growing your business and impacting different parts of your company, getting all of your systems integrated is really, really key. The second piece around getting to that state of Zen is being able to streamline and make your workflows more efficient. You want to find the tools that really help your team collaborate. So for those of you that have been in business now many years, or even those that have just gotten started, just think about the different pieces of your business. Starting from your selling channels, you've got to figure out which products you're going to sell, where you're going to source them from, how you're going to list them. You're probably going to be running marketing campaigns on your website. Then you've got to have an operations and fulfillment staff, or a third-party fulfillment process where you can go in and ship those orders out. And last but not least, you might be thinking about the operations piece of this, and once those orders are shipped out, do you have the inventory in stock to replenish your catalog, and whether you've learned from all of those sales on what you should be doing next. And as data and your sort of customers touch these different parts of your business, you want to make sure that you've got all the systems in place to improve the flow. Now, I'm sure that one of the real, the sort of questions that you're probably all thinking is, well, who has the time in the day to think about workflows, right? You're probably spending most of your time trying to figure out, how am I going to sell more? Well, this is where, I truly believe it's a bit of a catch-22, but in my mind, finding ways to integrate your systems and having efficient workflows is how you can actually build a business that'll potentially grow. If your systems are not talking to each other and your workflows are not efficient, you're not going to have the time in the day to even strategize. Now, you might come up with a great campaign and put all of your effort into growing your business from that one campaign, but realize you're going to have to fulfill those orders, you're going to have to think about those pieces, and to build longevity, you must have your workflows to be efficient, and you need to create a very data-focused culture. I often joke with my team here that, we've got, dashboards for everything, and I think it's really important that you run a very data-focused culture. And I'll share a personal story. I used to work at Amazon on their web store product for a couple of years there, and one of the things that my mentor there taught me as well is Amazon runs entirely on data, and really having a really strong understanding of all the different data about your business is really key. In fact, that's part of the reason why today we'll spend quite a bit of our presentation on KPIs and what those key performance indicators are to inform you of how to run your business more efficiently. And the last one, sort of around automation, is a fairly obvious one, right? How do you get the most out of all of these different systems? Not only by integrating them, but being able to automate everything, right? With the beauty of technology, we have so many systems available at our disposal. Why spend any time in typing information in? I mean, we're now in the age of bots where you can speak to a device and it'll turn on the television and program it to a specific point of a particular show. Why are we investing our time now in typing in data, trying to think about when data should be transferred? Do the customers have their tracking information? Everything should just be automated, and you shouldn't have to worry about errors that arise from automation. And as we look at all of these different capabilities, again, centering around what our presentation is about, Financial Zen, I think it's really, really important that the most important data for you is your financial data. You want to have a really strong grasp of what your financials look like. And so we'll jump into another quick poll question here and try to get a sense of where you are with your business. So the poll question we have here is, how often do you look at your financial reports? Whether it's the report that you look at in your accounting system, whether it's the dashboard in your online sales channel, think about how often are you looking at the financial data. Do you look at it daily? Do you look at it maybe once a week, every month? Or do you, like a lot of small businesses out there, kind of look at quarterly statements or once your accountant has had a chance to look at that information? Last but not least, for most of you, I hope the last answer is not true. It's sort of just been a while. But we'll give you another 5 seconds here, and we'll see what answer you come up with in terms of how often you look at your financial reports. Wow, very interesting data, and we sort of broadly hear this from our customers. Only a third of you are looking at your financial data on a daily basis. About 25% of you look at it on a weekly basis. Another 25 look at it on a monthly basis. And boy, 10% are looking at it quarterly, and another 10% it's been a while. So really broad audience here. And I'll sort of ask, Carla. Carla, for your business, how frequently are you looking at your financial reports, and if you could tell the audience a little bit about how that's really helping you.
Yeah, we tend to look at it weekly and monthly. We do weekly if we see we've had a strong week. We kind of want to take a peek and see what we're doing, um, how we did there. But monthly, I feel, is when we're able to get more of the big picture, and how we're doing in terms of overall growth, not just a one good one-off week, because then you can analyze, okay, did I do something this month that really did an overall growing trend for the company compared to last year at the same point? Or did the opposite happen? Did we invest too much money in a certain campaign? I really personally like looking at that monthly report as the most important one for my business when I'm going to make decisions for what I'm going to do or invest in the following month or
Yeah,
next
yeah,
couple of months.
and that's great insight. And I think as everyone in the audience is thinking about, how frequently to look at their data, I think it's really important to have the information at your fingertips on a daily basis so you can react to things. But as you're thinking about planning the future for the business, definitely looking at things on kind of a longer horizon of weekly or perhaps on a monthly basis is probably a really strong indicator. I personally, obviously, we too are an e-commerce company. We're selling software, and for us, in terms of our financials, I'm looking at obviously sales and customer feedback on a daily basis, but in terms of deciding what to do next with the business and looking at trends, certainly looking at kind of, especially for businesses that are seasonal, when they have a good understanding of things on a monthly or even a quarterly basis. But yeah, having a pulse in that data constantly is important, and using the information on a monthly, quarterly basis is valuable for making strategic decisions. So as we talk about these financial reports and the financial data, the weekly, monthly kind of time horizon for you and your business, we'll jump in now into what really are the key performance indicators to help you get to the path of enlightenment. The first KPI we're going to talk about, and this one should be a fairly obvious one, is the total average order value. To put simply, if you take the sum of revenue you generated over a calendar, say 30 days, and you divide that by the total number of orders you receive for those 30 days, what is the average order value that you get? And the key to calculating this average order value is it sets a sort of a tone for what the approximate revenue is that you're going to get on a particular order, and it helps you really think about and strategize what each customer's value is. It's a building block for how you're going to get new orders, and also as you look at these order values, you can look at it across different channels. Carla, how do you kind of look at average order value for your business?
Yeah, this is a really good indicator for us of how to, like you were saying, making projections for how much you're going to make in a certain quarter or season. Also, it really gives you a benchmarking system for yourself. So say your average order value is $30. You can sit there and strategize, okay, what can I do with my pricing structure, or what kind of offers can I create to try to increase that average order value to say 40 or 45, and incrementally try to set different benchmarks for yourself as a company to try to attain. And you really want to make sure you have your Google Analytics set up correctly so you're tracking this properly. Otherwise, you may not have a good idea. And also, with other channels such as Amazon and eBay, they have the tools where you can see this as well. But it's a really good way to try to, create offers and specific. For us, we were able to really develop certain pricing strategies for different products that we noticed: price this at this price a similar item at that price, and then suddenly they're lumping together and we're making a larger sale, that sort of thing. Every business is different. but I'm sure there's ways you can try to strategize to get that number to go as high as it can.
Yeah, yeah, and getting also just a sense of, if the average order value for your business, just to look at a broad range, is, if you're selling products that are going to average, 20, $25, you can back that into kind of understanding how much marketing dollars you should invest versus if your average order value is going to be, say, 5,000 and you're selling a big ticket item, then you have a little bit more leeway in terms of your marketing campaigns and the dollars invested there to really help you get to profitability, which brings up kind of the next really important performance indicator is the average order profit. And the way we talk about the average order profit is for each order, if you look at the average order value and you kind of take out the fees, the shipping, and the taxes from that particular order, tells you a little bit about what's the profitability of that particular order. And I look at that as, again, all of these KPIs are kind of building blocks. These are things that as a baseline tell you what is the potential value of each order you're getting, and correspondingly how you can invest into growing your margins, because we're all in business to make money, and you really need to get a really strong sense of what the average order profit is. And Carla, you've been using this, I think, quite a bit to sort of influence even which items you're selling.
Right, and I like to run what I call a 12-month moving report. It's part of this monthly analysis we do at the company, where we take a look at how we stand if we were to end the year at this point in time, at the end of June, say, how much did we grow compared to the previous year, once again taking out all of these costs and expenses to average, see what our profit would be at the end of the year. This is important because we're very seasonal. It's wedding industry. Everyone gets married in the summer and the spring and into autumn a little bit. But come winter, it slows down quite a bit, and we've seen this trend year after year. And our 12-month moving, we get to analyze how have we done in one season versus another, and how to plan accordingly for the high seasons and for the low seasons, inventory, marketing plans, all this sort of thing. We need to know how much money we have to play with at the end of each year. So if we do that 12-month moving, we kind of have an idea of where we're at and how we've performed.
Yeah, and as you think about order profit, certainly it also is a good indicator of, how much flexibility you might have in terms of promotional offers, right? We often tend to sort of look at a product and simply look at its cost and figure out what sort of promotional price we should run, but if you really get down to it, there's a cost associated with shipping that order, there's a cost in terms of the fees to perhaps list it and the marketing costs, and as you sort of incorporate all of those costs, it's a much better indication of the profit, and correspondingly can help you determine what your profitability and kind of your discounts might even need to be for a particular set of products. And as you think about this order profitability and average order value, this is a quick screenshot of kind of how we provide that in our application. Is we're able to bring that clarity on different channels by being able to show you on a graph kind of what your sales were by sales channel, and also look at the average order value across channels. So being able to kind of get this type of information really brings the clarity that you need as a business to kind of figure out how to grow different channels more effectively. The second key performance indicator, the third, I'm sorry, key performance indicator we want to touch upon is the customer lifetime value. And I know that that graphic's pretty complex, and the lifetime value calculations can vary dramatically for different customer segments, especially if you think about our business, which is a kind of a recurring subscription-based business. There's actually formulas for determining the customer lifetime value. But a simple way to sort of think about the customer lifetime value is if you look at the average revenue or average order you get from a particular customer, and try to multiply that by the approximate number of sort of orders you think you're going to get over that customer's lifetime. And as you build out a business, especially one that's recurring, this becomes even more critical, because there's a really a popular saying that it's much cheaper to sell to an existing customer than it is to actually acquire a brand new customer. So the more you can build on a catalog and to build repeat business, the higher revenue you'll be able to generate and correspondingly higher the profit. So it's really important to understand what that customer lifetime value is. But for Carla, given your business is in the wedding business, I imagine there's hopefully not a lot of repeat business for you.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult because with the wedding industry, you tend to get married at least only once in one type of buying life
Sure.
cycle for a particular person. So the way we spend our marketing dollars, we spend them very differently than say other companies because just to acquire every one customer, we're starting from scratch to get enough traffic coming in to get those conversion rates on the brides. But if you are in a repeat type industry, repeat business industry, this would be, very important because you can make multiple sales off the same person, get, really loyal fans of your brand, which I've seen, other small businesses really do that. It's inspiring to see actually that you can have a customer be so loyal and purchase multiple times. You know,
Exactly,
it's
exactly. And
nice to have that.
yeah, yeah, and especially as you build out that recurring business, it sort of segues into the next key performance indicator is if you get a sense of who those top customers are over their lifetime and the profits that you're generating, really will help you understand who the big needle movers are, right? As you pointed out, Carla, you can build evangelists out of those customers, and even if you're not creating evangelists on a one-on-one basis, being able to identify who those top customers are by profitability is going to provide some pretty significant insights into what might perhaps be some common traits about those customers that you might not have thought about. Just take for example, you're selling on Amazon, and you realize that a certain product is selling on a certain geography very, very popularly. Even if you didn't start off thinking that it was going to be so, knowing who those customers are, understanding where they came from, and identifying their unique characteristics will really help you kind of custom tailor your marketing campaigns. And any particular learnings for you? Obviously, you've got kind of that one-time business sort of model, Carla, but anything from a demographic, your customer segmentation standpoint that you've been able to learn to really help you tweak your marketing campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, you have different people tend to make these type of purchases for my target markets. It's usually either the bride or a family member of the bride or bridesmaids. So when we target for bridesmaids, we do try to create more of that repeat business, but 90% of the target market is the bride herself. So it's difficult for me in terms of this
Right.
part of the KPIs.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I think to emphasize on the point that this all depends on the different type of business that you have, and some of the things that we like to look at if in terms of our product is we're able to provide information on who's a returning versus a new customer, what is the contribution dollars for a particular customer, and also be able to look at what items are selling, right? What items are selling more than others. Another key performance indicator I want to talk about is the gross profit of each item. Um, uh, Unlike the gross profit of an order, which is kind of at an aggregate order level, the gross profit of each item is the profitability of a particular product. So take the revenue that you generated from that product, take out all of the different costs associated with that product, and be able to then calculate the profitability of a given item. And I know we've talked about this one frequently, Carla. Like I believe you've benefited the most from this particular KPI.
Right. I have something I'm sure you've all heard called the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your sales tend to come from 20% of your product offering. So this is important where you strategize maybe what type of inventory or product to focus on. Follow the money is another thing I like to say. So if you see a trend, you follow it and maximize it as much as possible. One thing to definitely keep track of, though, is with this whole multi-channel selling that we do nowadays, you really want to know which particular product to market in which marketplace. With all the different commission structures that these Amazon, Etsy, eBay, all these marketplaces have, it may make sense to push one product in one marketplace and a different line of products in another, because your gross profit at the end may be very different. I know Amazon say like 15% is what they keep versus Etsy is only 3%. So you really strategize then what products to push and which products to really develop further so you maximize your gross profit.
Yeah, yeah, really, really valuable insight because, I know from talking to so many business over these years that a lot of folks don't tend to break it down at a profitability for a particular item. And I think that's a mistake. You definitely want to look at things on an item basis because getting that catalog right is really, really important, and especially as you talk about different channels, that could be the strategic differentiator for your business, even as you especially if you're in kind of a competitive space. And no KPI I think would be complete if we didn't talk about inventory, because that's probably the most common and sort of hair-pulling challenge that small businesses have is being able to figure out what's going on with their inventory and making sure that you don't get into negative reviews when you oversell. So the key performance indicator I like to look at is the inventory days to zero, right? So do you know how many days it's going to be before your inventory goes to zero? Can you predict that and ensure that you got kind of a solid customer experience and you're not seeing bad reviews? Carla, I know you take the inventory days to zero and that really, really seriously, especially because you're dealing with a lot of quote-unquote brides.
Right, yeah, no, you don't want to make a bride unhappy. It's a very emotional time in their lives, so you don't want to accidentally oversell and then have a bride who doesn't get something she had her heart on. But this is very important. You want to know your seasonality. You want to know your production times if you make anything in-house. You can make decisions once you've been tracking all of this data properly over time. So you want to make sure you set up all of this reporting properly so that you have the data to then place your large orders, say for Christmas. I know a lot of companies have to do all their ordering in the spring so they get everything in time. But you have to know your data so that you can make all this ordering and not over-purchase or under-purchase for your season.
Exactly, exactly. And some of the things that we help customers do through our products is really being able to understand what those items are, what's the sort of velocity that they're selling at. That way they can calculate the contribution amounts by the SKU and also be able to figure out the inventory days to zero. So, we've talked a lot about the different KPIs and what are some of the signs that tell you that you need help, and what you can do as a company to really get to that state of financial zen. But I'd love for all of us to just take a deep breath and take a step back and really think about what business would look like if all of our systems were well integrated. We had a really strong sense of what our business's financials are, and we have control over the data that's across our systems. And what are those signs? When you feel that you've achieved a state of being a Zen master. And for those of you that have been in business for over 6 years, hopefully, you're recognizing more and more the need now to get to that state of Zen. And when you are in that state of Zen, this is what life looks like, right? You are able to review, you can understand and interpret financial reports on a weekly or a monthly basis. You've gotten rid of the products that don't have the right margin, right? How beautiful would that be? You're able to adjust your different offerings through different sales channels to increase your revenue, and you use each channel according to its strengths and its weaknesses. This is really key. If you can get a strong sense of your business, what your business KPIs are, and you can really make an impact on those particular metrics, you'll really feel that you have the time in every day or week to really think about your business growth, your marketing, and your overall strategy. You're not even worried about tax compliance or whether your accounting system is up to date and whether your bookkeeper is able to enter the data in time. And the last two for me are sort of really key. I feel as a business owner, it's really important for me to sleep, get my 8 hours in. You want to be able to sleep like a baby. And last but not least, not only are you kind of running the business, but you really want to get to that state of Zen by feeling that you're getting ahead of your business. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our presentation, and these are some of the signs. And I truly hope that through our presentation today, you're able to understand what those key performance indicators are for your business. What are the things that you need to do as a company in order to get to that state of financial Zen? We've got about 8 or so, 9 minutes to answer any questions. I know some questions have been coming into the chat window. Let's open up the floor for questions. And the first question I have here is a question regarding Amazon. With Amazon offering same-day and next-day delivery, how can the little guys compete? That's probably a question that comes up very, very frequently. So, listen, having a really strong model for fulfillment is very important, and we're at that age where we're in that sort of time where customers have come to expect same-day or next-day delivery. Which means, first and foremost, you've got to find ways to really cut your order fulfillment time. So if you're right now, having to wait 3 to 5 days to do your fulfillment and figure out which items you need to get it from a drop shipper or to get it all packaged in and be able to ship it out, that's the first place I would look. You want to compete by making sure all of your systems are connected so that you can cut that lead time. Just that packaging time should be really, really optimized. So the moment you get an order, it gets to your operations team quickly and you can package and ship quickly. The second thing that you want to try to optimize is, think about the fulfillment channels that you're using and consider leveraging different distribution partners. I've worked with companies that will actually create strategies so that they've got a dropship vendor on the West Coast and the East Coast, so that for customers that are sort of very time sensitive and orders that are time sensitive, they're able to choose a different provider to do the fulfillment. Recognize, again, this is why being able to strategize your catalog and your understanding your order profitability, you can really tweak what those offerings need to be. And Carla, this question is probably resonating with you as well, because I know when you originally got started, you had a pretty big lead time for shipping out your products.
Yeah, we did. We weren't as automated as we are now, so what made a huge difference in our lead times to shipping was having Webgility create that automation between the shopping cart, the shipping software, and then back into accounting. So we were running about 2 weeks before we would even ship anything. This was a long time ago. To now it's same day, up to a certain time, then otherwise it'll go out the next day. So it's made a huge difference. And specific to your question, if you can't beat them, join them. I would also consider just jumping on Amazon's existing fulfillment system and maybe putting some of your products on Prime and sending it to their shipping facilities. You could always price it higher for it being a Prime item, and that way you're not undercutting your own domain's pricing, or or even your profit margin, because I know when you ship on Prime, you are paying extra fees to Amazon for them fulfilling it for you.
Right, right. Yeah, and I
So
think
that's a
a
consideration
key,
as well.
yeah, yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I think a key to this is, again, um, you have to be able to do experimentation. We're in such a competitive market that if you're not able to create different experiments, whether it be experiments on different price points, whether it be experiments on selling on different channels, whether it be offerings where you're trying out free next day shipping, or you're looking at a certain part of your catalog to offer specific promotional pricing. You want to be in control, and if you're able to control those different levers of your catalog and your pricing strategy, and then you have all the systems in place to understand the impact of those experiments, then
Mhm.
you're really in control, because then you can kind of tweak things and see what's working and what's not working. Another question that's been asked in the forum is just about kind of the different financial systems and what our recommendations may be for even an accounting system. As a sort of a software company, we're sort of very agnostic to the different platforms you use. This is partly why we integrate with almost all of them. But certainly, one key advice that I would give you is, uh, think about your business type, think about your product catalog, think about what are the real important parts of your business, who are the different staff members you have, what sort of team do you have or are you building, because that should tell you a lot about what's important, right? Is it important that you have everything in the cloud? Do you have a remote distributed team that everybody needs to collaborate together? Do you have a small operation where everybody's kind of in one place and you can kind of communicate effectively with each other? Does the system you choose, even for your accounting, does it have all the capabilities that you need from an inventory management standpoint? Or do you have a complex inventory catalog and you also need to look at a third-party inventory management system? As you think about order fulfillment, again, as Carla mentioned, you've got choices where you can use fulfillment by Amazon, and a number of other shipping providers out there, or you want to do fulfillment in-house and set up your own kind of warehouse and shipping system. So a variety of different sort of things that you need to think about before you choose the right systems. We've got a very active community. We have a WebGility blog. We've got a Twitter account. You can follow us where we post a lot of messages frequently. And of course, we've got a team here that's of financial and accounting experts, so we're more than happy to answer any questions you have as a follow-up. We're almost out of time here, and I really do hope that this was a very beneficial presentation for all of you as you plan the next big phase of growth for your business, and you get to a point where you can achieve financial zen and find that time for your business to be able to really strategize and grow your business. Again, to learn more, you can visit webgility.com. We're also at WebGility on Twitter, and be sure to check out our blog and give us a call if you have any other questions. Again, my name is Parag. With me was Carla. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to sharing many more insights with you through our blog and our upcoming webinars. Thank you so much.
Thank you.